this team has done numbers for us over the years. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, they
And
have.
that is the Arizona Cardinals, 8-9. I think probably looking back at this season for the Arizona Cardinals, I think that it's met by two things: disappointment and frustration. Because there was a point in time where there was a real conversation that this team was firmly in the playoff picture and could have potentially won the division. But I want to meet that by saying the Arizona Cardinals played well above expectation last season. And I feel like that got lost in translation with how well they were playing. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that this was a team that you and I were both pretty high on. We thought that they were going to be a playoff team. So them not making it kind of hurts, but I think we might have just been a year behind. I think this will probably be the year that they take that step and make the playoffs. I think it's good that we got a full year of Kyler Murray. Um, I don't know off the top of my head exactly what Marvin Harrison Jr.'s season looked like, but I know that there were moments where I would look through and just be like, dang, I want more from him, but that's not really up to him. I feel like he at first felt like he got a lot of targets. I don't really know exactly what the number looked like as the season progressed, but um, Trey McBride was like pretty clearly the number one target here in
Right.
Arizona. And
You were saying that about Marv, right?
yeah, what did I say?
No, I was just making sure.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. That
yeah, I mean,
I wanted more from Marv this season, but like again, that's not like fully his
see, I
fault if
think
the offense wasn't looking great.
I'm defending Marvin Harrison Jr. like to a T on this one. He had 62 receptions for 885 yards and 8 touchdowns. His two guys who I would put him against are Malik Neighbors and BTJ. And Neighbors had 109 receptions, and Brian Thomas Jr. had 87 receptions. And I think Neighbors finished the season with like 150 plus targets. I know that. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, so there's uh two things. I'm not even gonna compare him to Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas because um like you were about to rattle off, he got less targets probably than both of those guys. I think I was kind of let down because he was projected as the most surefire lock. Everybody was putting him on this absurd pedestal, and rightfully so. He was phenomenal at Ohio State, and it can take different amounts of time when you get to the NFL with different receivers. But the amount of talk about him coming out of college, I expected a little bit more. Like I at least expected him to have 1,000 yards.
What more do you want? I think like the perceived like rookie season at this point is so skewed
It is.
that
I completely
that
agree.
like
That's
that
I'm
like
guilty.
that like Marvin Harrison had exactly what you wanted to have from a team, from a wide receiver that you took in the first round. I think that the biggest issue with what happened with Marvin Harrison Jr. this season was the way that Drew Petzing decided to get him targets. Where if you watched Arizona Cardinals games, which I spent a lot of time watching Arizona Cardinals games, is probably 50% of the time when Marvin Harrison Jr. was to get a target, it was in tight one-on-one
Yeah.
coverage where they were expecting him to go and win the ball instead of, and that was not in the flow of a football game. That
Right.
was like his random every third pass was when he got a target was an extremely high difficulty of catch, which I thought wasn't the best way to use Marvin the entire year. So I think that is a major reason of why people weren't like wowed and jumped off the screen when Marv like was playing the entire season. I think he had moments, but I think it was how they were trying to get him the ball within the flow of a football game never flowed. It was always wonky, and it was always, hey, win this last second, put your hands out and win a catch in tight one-on-one coverage and be a guy. And I think that he can do that. I think he'll continue to grow into that. But at some point, you need to look at him and get him some easy targets, just like how every other top wide receiver in the NFL gets. I mean, you look at Marv run a slant route when they gave it to him this season. Marv would be the best slant runner in the entire league if they allowed him to do it. So I think whatever, but I'm saying that it's time that that Osama bin Petzing gets a little bit more hate for how he coached this team this season. And I think that led to a lot of problems with the inconsistent quarterback play that you saw from Kyler. And they had an extremely low pass rate, I think second last in the NFL. And I know that Kyler has had inconsistent quarterback play his entire career, so it kind of fits the mold of what was going on. And I don't think Kyler is a guy that you should look at and be like, throw on the Superman cape and go win us games. But the way that the Arizona Cardinals play in a run-heavy offense, I think that if the pass game is designed correctly with the pieces that they have, I think that this offense could be. If this was a top 10 offensive DVOA the entire season. I think that we're talking, if this team takes the next step in the passing game, which I think that they will this upcoming season, I think this is a top 5 offense the entire season across the board in rushing and passing. I think this team has the potential to be the real deal.
I will also say that I agree with you that I am slightly skewed, because I'm looking here at like the rookie receiving yards records, and like the top of the out of the top 10 guys for rookie receivers. Well, I mean, I can go to the top 15 guys. It's all been like Ladd McConkey's in there, Brock Bowers, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Puka Nacua. Those are all guys that have been in the NFL for 3 years max. Yeah. And like, those are all recent. So in my head, I'm like, oh, this guy, generational wide receiver coming out, didn't even he was 300 yards short of this. But I do agree with you at the coaching standpoint of this, because I saw it too. They really made it difficult for Marv on offense to generate easy targets and easy catches, which I will say that some of these other guys didn't necessarily have that same issue. But at the same time, I think that aside from Puka and who's Justin Jefferson's rookie year quarterback? Never mind. These guys all had like decently I think Kyler Murray's right up there with like the other list of these guys as far as like decent quarterback play. Like Puka had
what was the pass
Stafford.
Rate? What was the pass rate of those offenses? Like this offense was
Jamar Chase had 1,400 yards.
This offense was second to last in pass rate the entire season.
That's fair.
They weren't a pass first team. Do you know who's a pretty good player?
Too. But also Ladd McConkey's wide receiver 1 over there. Trey McBride is their number 1 target.
But do you know who also was a pretty good wide receiver? His name was Marvin Harrison. He's a Hall of Famer. Actually,
pretty good. Yeah.
His rookie year, he had 64 receptions, 136 yards, and 8 touchdowns. So I think that it's absolutely ridiculous that Marv was 200 yards away from. If Marv had 200 more yards and 200 touchdowns, people would be throating him. So
2 more touchdowns.
So I don't want
200 touchdowns.
My bad. I don't want to. I think that like I'm a little tired of hearing the Marv hate, and I think there's even some people who don't even believe that he can be like that true wide receiver 1, that guy for them. I think Marv goes out this season and proves everybody wrong. I think he's that guy, and I think he's that good.
Oh, I'm not selling any stock on Marvin Harrison.
Sorry,
by any means. I think he's still going to be an extremely phenomenal NFL player. I'm not. What I saw this year didn't make me think that he was going to be any worse in the NFL than what I originally thought. I just expected him to come out the gate a little bit hotter, is all.
Completely understandable. I think that I'm going to move on here. The weaknesses that this team has right now, I think is fair to say, I think is their coaching. I think that the inconsistent philosophy that these guys have on their coaching staff, and I mean Jonathan Gannon when I say this, is very frustrating. And we lost. Not we, sorry. The Arizona Cardinals lost games this season. A very good example is the Minnesota Vikings game when they decided not to go for it on a fourth down to edge the game and finish it off. And they actually ended up coming back and winning. I need a
Yeah.
consistent philosophy from Jonathan Gannon from start to finish, and they need to be aggressive to win football games. So instead of playing not to lose, they need to start playing
Yeah.
to win. And there's no reason why a team that is this talented running the football should not be able to put away football games. So that is something that I need to see change. And like I said, Osama bin Petzing, you need to step it up when you're calling passing plays because if you are getting guys targets not in the flow of things, it's constantly feels wonky. And I think that is what you are thinking of when you think
Yeah.
of a Marvin Harrison Jr. season. I think
Yeah.
that's what you're thinking of when Trey McBride doesn't have a receiving touchdown going into the last week of the season and Kyler's trying to force it to him and throwing bad picks. That
Yeah.
is flat on the coaching staff, and they need to step it up this season because we're going to get into it a little bit more, but I think that this team could be special. But go ahead and keep talking. Go ahead and add what you need to add.
No, I think we talked about it a lot during the season. Is this was a team that, like, their defense was not, like, on paper wasn't great, but they played very feisty and were holding teams to like no points in the second half.
Yes.
And I think that's certainly something to build on moving into the next season. But um, I do agree. I think the coaching aspect of this needs to get better because they lost a couple of games that they shouldn't have lost.
Completely agree. So this off season, it's been interesting for them, honestly. They grab Josh Sweat. Obviously, him and Gannon have some history together in Philly. I love that move personally. You go and get Dalvin Tomlinson, a big guy to put in the middle of defensive tackle. Honestly, I love that move by them too. And then today they went and grabbed Calais Campbell, another big guy to just throw into the middle of that defense. I think the biggest concern of this football team was this defensive line and rushing the quarterback, etc. Last year, you took Darius Robinson from Missouri. I think he's a really good player. He got banged up in training camp with his calf. Didn't come back the same the entire year. He wasn't healthy. Before the season entering in, there was a lot of buzz that BJ Ojulari out of LSU, edge rusher, was going to have a very big breakout season for them. He tears his ACL in the offseason, and he's going to be healthy this year. So now you're looking at me and you're saying, okay, you got Baron Browning, who they got from Denver, who's going to play edge for them. You have Josh Sweat, who's going to play edge for them. You have BJ Ojulari, who's going to play edge for them. And then you have Darius Robinson to play edge for them. I love the depth that they're building on this defensive line. Then you add a Dalvin Tomlinson, you add a Calais Campbell. This is a lot of depth for a position and big dudes and guys who can actually rush the passer in a spot on their team that, if you look, literally just last season was a complete weak point, and they didn't even have bodies to throw out there damn near.
Yeah,
So
it was.
I think that this is a big upgrade on the defensive line for them.
Yeah, they brought in a lot of guys that I really like as well. And they have some guys coming back that should provide them with some really good talent along that defensive line. It all just comes down to, can Gannon get these guys all on the same page, and can they stay healthy? Because that was a big issue for them last year.
100%. Do you have anything else that you want to add about the Arizona Cardinals offense, defense, whatever? Listen, real quick, I will address the Kyler Murray stuff. Like, I'm a big Kyler Murray fan. I understand the frustrations that you get when you have Kyler Murray at quarterback, but that comes with every quarterback in the entire NFL. I think knowing the limitations, I think understanding the strengths and weaknesses of your quarterback from a play calling perspective is important. Like, I just don't like the one play that sticks out in mind is like Kyler was at the 50-yard line and pointed to the end zone and ran in a 50-yard touchdown. There is maybe one other guy in the NFL that can do that, and that's Lamar Jackson. Like, I think that he is extremely talented, and I think that, like, if put in the right situation, I think that he can have one of those top 10 quarterback seasons that he seems to be able to get out to in the beginning of the year, but once it reaches a certain point of the season, he's not able to really complete it.
Yeah, it's been definitely frustrating for people that have Kyler Murray's back, but I think that we've seen the flashes, and I think that he can still play football, like is still a high level quarterback. Like, I wouldn't be necessarily worried about Kyler Murray as much as I would be worried about offensive coordinator, play call, that combination of pieces on the offensive side of the ball. Because I think they have good players. Like, I like, obviously I like Marvin Harrison. I think Trey McBride's probably the best tight end in the NFL when it comes to, honestly, he might just be the best tight end in the NFL at this point. And then James Conner had a really great season last year, and I like him too. Like, I think they have good players along the offense, and they have good weapons. It's just a matter of making things easier for Kyler, making things easier for Marvin Harrison Jr. Like,
A super
that
underrated.
should be your goal as an offensive coordinator.
I think super underrated too. I think their entire wide receiving core is talented. Like, Michael Wilson's pretty good. Zay Jones, I don't know if people forgot about him, but like Zay Jones has
Yeah,
some of the,
just
the
re-signed him.
sure hands in the NFL. And same with, you brought up Trey McBride. Trey McBride's one of the best in his position, if not the best. So I think that across the board that this team's talented. So yeah, I'm excited for this upcoming season for them. As for the draft goes, they're sitting currently at the 16th pick in the NFL draft. Is there anybody that do you think that there is a side of the ball that they're going to lean towards taking? And do you have a few players in mind, or a player?
I was leaning. They did just take Trey Benson last year. I was kind of thinking like James Conner's getting a little older, but I do think, I know they just drafted Trey Benson last year. I like
In
the
the second.
wideouts yeah, I like the wideouts they have. I think they did a great job of making that defensive line a lot better. The linebacker Jahad Campbell would be a name that kind of comes to mind.
And he goes to school where?
I didn't write down where he went to school. I think he went to Alabama.
Okay.
I think he's an Alabama linebacker.
Yep.
It's getting to the point where I'm like confusing Bama, A&M, Georgia. Like, they're all kind of blending together in my head.
Jalen
But
Walker out of Georgia. So he's an edge rusher.
no, Jahad Campbell, linebacker.
Jahad Campbell. You know what? This guy's not on my big board in the 32. So give me your reasoning why you like this guy so much.
I think he just flies around, and I feel like Alabama linebackers are normally a safe bet. 6'3", 244-pound linebacker. I think he just flies around, makes plays. And I think that's a guy that you can put in the middle of your defense and on your second level, and will be pretty stout for you.
Will
My
say
point still
I
stands
will
with
think that
Campbell.
that their coverage unit is weak. I don't hate Buda Baker, but I think that his coverage skills are weak. I think like Garrett Williams, Max Melton, like I don't hate them fully, like Starling Thompson. I don't hate them fully, but I think that if I am the Cardinals right now, I need to get, if there is a dude on the board at corner that you love, I
Yeah,
think this might be an opportunity to go and grab somebody.
that's fair. And that leads back to the Will Johnson conversation that we had in regards to the whoever the last team was that we talked about, right? Like the
Yeah.
Falcons. He's been falling, and if he ends up falling to the Cardinals, then perfect for them.
Yeah, there's a few corners here that I like. I mean, obviously, if Derek Harmon, the D lineman from Oregon, is still sitting here,
I
I
had him
think
too.
I think adding another big guy on the defensive line, add him as another complementary piece to the Dalvin Tomlinson, and then obviously when Dalvin's done, like you have a bona fide dude. I mean, you
Right
can never
behind,
go
yeah.
wrong with that, and he's going to play a ton of snaps regardless.
Yeah.
Corner wise, I think Jahdae Barron, the Texas corner,
Jahdae Barron,
Barron,
yeah.
who's been like flying up boards. This is obviously a spot that he could go. Will Johnson situation as well. I think he could be good. And then I think Benjamin Morrison, the corner out of Notre Dame, is going to go higher than people think.
The only reason I haven't brought up Jahdae Barron yet is because from what I read, he was a lot better at zone, and I don't know like what type of defense all of these teams are playing. And that seemed to be like a big reason as to why people were unsure about, at least when I was initially reading about him. It sounds like things have changed since, but that was like the main reason that I haven't brought him up yet, is because I just don't know how good he is at man coverage.
Yeah, I have no clue, but it seems like he's flying up draft boards like every week.
Well, that's good.
Do you have anything else that you want to add on the Arizona Cardinals? Sorry to get so fired up, but I think that this team is incredibly disrespected. And players are disrespected. Like I said, the Marv situation. So I had to stick up for my guys.
No, I totally get it. You got to do what you got to do. But no, I'm good. I don't have anything left on the Cardinals that we won't cover once we get to the season preview.
White clouds blowing out when we max 4-5, not the size, but it kick up highlight of my life, man.